All right, welcome to the first of this new format of Q&As for the channel. This one is new because I have canceled my Patreon and Q&As are now open to the public. To ask a question in a future Q&A video, head over to my Discord server and you'll find a channel devoted to questions for the Q&As. This month, or actually I should say for March, because I'm recording this in April, but the questions were asked in March. I have 4 questions, which I'll be talking through, and they do most of them share a similar theme, which is, of course, about the new games released by Free League, or kickstarted by Free League, the Electric State and Coriolis The Great Dark. So, without any further ado, let's jump over to the first question. Kira asks, now that the Kickstart for new Coriolis is in full swing, any new thoughts after seeing all the new information on the Kickstarter page? And in fact, since that question's been asked, we've been shown the quick start for it, and that's even been updated to version 1.1. Now, I've not had a chance to look at the 1.1 update yet, but I did go through the first drop of the quick starts, and yeah. My thoughts are very positive towards Coriolis The Great Dark. I think it might be my favorite implementation of the Year Zero engine so far. I know I've probably said that phrase many times in the past. Free League keeps surprising me with how they change things. And yeah, I just really like everything about it. There is one thing there's one thing about it that I'm not so keen on, and that's the vast change to the setting. The reason for that is I really, really enjoy the setting of Coriolis, the original Free League Coriolis, which I guess is the 2nd edition, technically. And I did a reaction video all about the Coriolis The Great Dark, which you can watch. I'll put a little card up over here and put a link to it down in the description if you want to watch my reaction video about the new setting, the new game. But really, I just love everything about it. The stuff I wish they would have kept forward is a little bit more of the flavor from the original setting. But yeah, I really like the direction the rules are taking. I like the new emphasis on exploration, as I think that's a very strong thing that Free League are very good at. Although it would have been nice to have seen their take on refining the sort of intrigue gameplay that they had in the 2nd edition. But it is what it is, and there's no reason why we couldn't continue playing the 2nd edition of Coriolis, the original Free League one, that is. So I should say the 3rd Horizon, using maybe the rules from, or some of the rules from the 3rd edition, the Great Dark. I don't know. I think it's something worth thinking about. The Coriolis, the 3rd Horizon, was the 2nd Free League game after Mutant Year Zero. And it has kind of been showing its age a little bit. So I think there is scope to revamp the rule set for the 3rd Horizon to allow play in the 3rd Horizon. Of course, I don't think you could just take the Great Dark's rule set and port it over, because there's going to be a lot of systems at play to support exploration. But maybe there's some stuff that could be used to help streamline things, because the Great Dark is more streamlined in terms of its systems and its rules. Anyway, so my thoughts are very positive, and really, if you want to know more details about that, check out the reaction video. Thanks, Kira. The next question comes from Lekis, and yeah, this is kind of along the same sort of lines, but I'll read the question. I had a look at the Electric State alpha PDF and watched the stream on Coriolis The Great Dark, and I could see both systems got rid of the skills, keeping only the talents that, in some cases, add +2 to a set of skills. Basically your approach on Year Zero Mini, but with tables for the concept, the talent table. What are your thoughts about it? Yeah, I mean, it is kind of a similar approach, I guess, because skills in Year Zero Mini, which I've created, there are no skills, there's just attributes. But it is a little bit different because here we've got talents, and I see a precedent for this actually in Simbaroom. Simbaroom has attributes, I think 7 attributes from memory, and a huge number of talents that go along to support them. And those talents are tiered at 3 levels with, I think, apprentice, journeyman, master sort of idea. So this is actually something that isn't that much of a, I wouldn't say they've borrowed from or stolen from I think somebody's mentioned in the Discord, from Year Zero Mini. Not at all. I think this is much more a case of looking at Symbaroum for inspiration. That said, I like it a lot. In fact, one of my projects I've got on the back burner is a hack of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, and I've taken a lot of inspiration from the first edition of that game, which has a big number of attributes, or characteristics as they're called in Warhammer. And there are over 100 skills, and those skills are binary. Basically, if you have it, you have it, and if you don't, you don't. There are no ranks or anything like that. And my approach to that was to basically have a big number of attributes and then have a big number of, I was kind of on the fence of what to call them, skills, talents, something along those lines, but basically have them tiered at 3 levels, with going with the, I was kind of use Symbaroum as a bit of inspiration here, apprentice, journeyman, master, and having it basically just, if you had them, they were going to give you a bonus to relevant roles. So kind of like a simple kind of skill-based thing, and that was going to be one of the things I was looking at for Year Zero Light as well. And of course, I have now gone more in a stiletto direction with Year Zero Light, which is much more traditional Free League, where it's a set number of skills with 4 attributes and no talents. Which is kind of just adding skills on top of what I've got for Year Zero Mini. But that idea of having a vast number of skills or talents, whatever you want to call them, sitting under a bigger number of attributes is something I really want to do with my Warhammer hack at one point. My Warhammer hack goes through lots of different iterations. I'm not even sure where it's at right now, but that was certainly one of the iterations that I was looking at. So seeing Coriolis taking a very similar route, because Coriolis The Great Dark is the first of their games that does away with 4 attributes. It has more. I think it has 6 attributes, which is kind of exciting to see. They've broken that element of the Year Zero engine and gone with something different. So I really, really, really like that. I really like this change, this innovation, this big number of talents. What I'm maybe not so keen on there is that the talents are not all handled in the same way. So there's going to be a big number of talents. Those talents are all going to have different mini rules. So you'll have to kind of have those talents written down to know how they're changing the rules to, to be the talent that they are. And that just introduces crunch, and it's crunch that you can't really memorize because you need to know what how the talent interacts with the rules. So it's not how I would do something personally. If I was to add talents or something similar to my games, I would keep them all handled consistently. I would handle them in the way of having skills. They would be very, very detailed skills. So you would have, instead of having like a skill for manipulation, you'd have skills for persuasion, interrogation, negotiation, blather, all those sorts of things. There would just be like, they would be very specialized in when you'd be able to use those specific skills. So that's the way I would handle it. But I'm very excited about what Free League are doing with Coriolis The Great Dark, and I'm very excited to get my hands on it and to play it. Not to say that the Electric State is I'm not as excited about that. I'm also excited about that, but I'm more excited about Coriolis because it's one of my favorites, and it's doing a little bit more, it's doing more different things in terms of like adding more attributes and stuff. But the Electric Start also is doing something similar, and I'm very excited to see what Niels has come up with that, because Niels Hintze, who's the developer for that, has also developed some of my favorite Free League games like Vaesen and The Walking Dead and Tales from the Loop. Tales from the Loop, of course, is the basis for Year Zero Mini, and as a result, I'm a huge fan of that too. So yeah, I'm excited for both games. I don't really see that they've borrowed a lot from Year Zero Mini, but of course, yeah, they've done away with skills, which is a very new change for Free League, and yeah, I'm excited to see how it plays and what people think of it, and whether that actually brings more people over to trying out Year Zero Mini. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, I don't know. But yeah, those are my thoughts on it. If you want more thoughts in a more specific direction, then maybe ask that for next month's Q&A. But those are kind of my high-level thoughts on it. Yeah, I'm very positive about it. Yeah. Thanks, Lekis. Another question from Lekis, follow-on question is, what is the best Year Zero implementation in my opinion? Now, of the games I've played or run, which is almost all of them, I've run every Free League game or played every Free League game other than Blade Runner, which I've not had a chance to do yet, and that might be it of the release games. I've not played The Great Dark. I've not played, which has a quick start, so that would be playable. And I've also not played the alpha of Electric State. But I think, yeah, I think that's it. Of course, they have these 5th edition spin-offs of Symbaroum and The One Ring. I've not played either of those either because I'm not a 5th edition fan, and I quite like both original Symbaroum, despite its flaws. Although I wouldn't probably ever run a campaign of it. I don't think 5th edition will fix those problems. And I do really like the One Rings system. So I've got no desire to play the 5th edition version of that. So yeah, I've played or run all of them other than Blade Runner and the 2 new games. What's my favorite implementation? Oh, Alien. System-wise, probably Alien. And The Walking Dead is probably a very close second because it uses a similar system, but I just think the stress dice is just magical and really great. Works really great for horror. I love horror as a genre, and I just really like it. And Alien, what I really like about Alien is the kind of the cinematic adventures are very cool. The cinematic scenarios, I like how they're all linked together, also with the campaign books, to tell this like sweeping epic narrative that all kind of connect despite having different casts for every adventure. I think it's a really cool way. It's almost like telling a campaign through troop play, right? Because troop play is basically having a campaign where your perspective shifts between different sessions. Maybe even between different scenes, and this is kind of how they approach it, and I think it's a really amazing thing. Unfortunately, I've not played through it myself or run through the entire Alien set of scenarios. It's something I would really like to do. It's kind of something I thought I might do for the channel, but I don't know if I'll have a chance to do that now that I've kind of had to focus on other things. But probably Alien for that reason is one of my favorite implementations of the Year Zero engine. Okay, thanks for that, Lekis. And the last question is from Attila. He says, I started to read the Forbidden Lands core set again for the 5th time. I just like that game. I'm not sure if I've ever asked you about this, but here it is anyway. If you were to keep the crunch level as it is, what would you change? Oh. Oh, that's a good question. I like, in fact, I probably have an answer for that, because what I've actually taken the Forbidden Lands rule set and I've adapted it for Nord Saga, one of the projects I've been working on in the past. And while that hasn't really been finished, that work hasn't been finished, I did make some changes to it, which I guess I can talk about. One thing I removed was, you talk about keeping the crunch level as it is. So I kind of played around with the talents, and I kind of I think I removed the talents in Nord Saga because I wanted it a bit more lightweight. So that doesn't really count. I would probably add to the number of talents that are available. I would also probably look at how to make something a bit more urban focused, so that people could use Forbidden Lands to play more types of games than just this sort of survival exploration element. Although saying that, maybe the rule set at its core isn't really designed for that. It might not be a good fit. Be kind of like trying to use D&D to play a sort of mystery intrigue game with very little combat. It would work, but it wouldn't really be the best tool for the job. Yeah, so what would I change? I'd probably tweak a few things. I'd probably tweak how willpower works. I'm not a big fan of the willpower mechanic. I mean, I've just probably changed the things that I do for my house rules. which I'm not familiar with right now. I did do a bunch of house rules when I ran my group campaign way back when, first thing I did on this channel. And I had a house rules document that kind of went through the things I was changing. Mainly had to do with, from memory, they had to do with how willpower was gained. I think everyone started with a willpower from memory, which is a small tweak. I changed the rate of experience gain, so I would change how advancement works a little bit, just to slow things down and to put a focus more on skills rather than talents, because the way it is in the kind of vanilla experience is that players have very little incentive to advance by taking skills, because the talents are cheaper and they're a little bit more powerful. But what it leads to is you get these characters who have low skill levels but have amazing talents that allow them to do these crazy things, which to me doesn't really make a lot of sense. One of the tweaks that somebody has implemented and shared, it might even be a workshop title, I'm not 100% sure, but is adding a prerequisite skill level for every talent in the game and every rank of every talent in the game. And I really like that. I think that's probably the best tweak to the game, which keeps the level of crunch, but really helps to address balance a little bit, I think, because it forces the players to get good at a certain level for a base skill before the talent is like applicable. Like being a crack shot with a bow and being able to, like, having a marksman sort of talent where you can hit anything, or you get like re-rolls or whatever, doesn't make a lot of sense if your ranged skill is like 1 or even 0, because at game, as the game is written, that is absolutely possible. You can take any talent you want regardless of where the skill level is. So it's like, how are you a crack shot with a bow but your ranged could be as low as 0? Doesn't make a lot of sense, right? So that's probably the one that makes the most sense to me, that I like the best in terms of tweaks. Advancement, just slowing down and changing how advancement works a little bit, I think would be the second. But that also is more of a thing to do with campaign length. So it depends what you're after. Yeah, I think I can see why advancement's been done the way it has, but I would probably change it up slightly and just do away with the whole point system and how it's rewarded, and just say you get X, people who are there for the session are going to get X number of experience points by the end of the session. And just do it like that, or have a milestone based thing as well. So like you do an adventure mini arc, like that might last anywhere from 1 to 3 sessions, say, and by the end of that, when you have some downtime, you get some experience points, and you can spend them straight away to advance your character based on what you did. That way it's not like you have, every session is based on what you did. It's more like what was accomplished during that arc, and how many experience points do you get as a result, and rewarding somewhere between 5 to 15 maybe, depending on what was managed. I don't know. I'm a big fan of milestone based of advancement, or I also like having no advancement at all and having all having all advancement be sort of diegetic in the game. So it's like your accumulation of weapons and wealth is your advancement. That's always really fun. Or having something like I've done with Year Zero Mini, where you advance naturally based on the number of failures you've done for a skill. So every time you test a skill, if you fail that skill, then you get like a tick, and once you get a certain number of ticks, that skill gets better. Which is kind of looking at something like Delta Green or Call of Cthulhu for how they handle that sort of thing. But I like that because it leads to more natural progression of your skills. The more you use something, the more you're going to advance it, and you're going to learn from your failures more than you're going to learn from your successes. So it kind of naturally plateaus, and then you could tie talents to that as well somehow. So yeah, once you hit a certain level and a skill, maybe you can take an associated talent, for example. So you could kind of divvy up talents between the skills, and then just basically say, yeah, pick a talent once you hit level 3 in a skill, or level maybe when you hit rank 3 or 2 or something like that, you hit rank 2. Let's say rank 3. Once you hit rank 3 for a talent, you pick a rank 1 skill, I should say. You pick a rank 1 talent to go along with it. Once you hit rank 4, you pick a rank 2 or a new rank 1 talent, and once you hit rank 3, you can either upgrade one of your existing talents or put one up to level 2 or 3, however you want to do it. Something like that might be interesting, but that would be changing quite a bit. It wouldn't change the crunch level so much, just be very much shaking up how advancement works. That was kind of a long answer, but that's probably how I would handle it. Otherwise, I really like how Forbidden Lands works. I like its gameplay loop. The only thing about it is it's very good at telling one specific type of story, which is sort of survival exploration in a sort of post-apocalyptic fantasy world. And if you want to try and have it do anything else, it's really not going to work so well. And in fact, Nord Saga, I kind of changed its original pitch to basically be a post-apocalyptic alternate history setting so that the Forbidden Lands rule set would work with it. And that was kind of the magic sauce that really brought the whole kind of idea of the setting together for me. So yeah, it can do intrigue, but it's not really, like, I don't know, or like urban-based stuff. You could definitely do it, but the way the kind of the dice mechanic works and stuff, I don't think it's best suited towards that. It is really best played as an exploration survival game. So that's it for me for this month. Thanks everyone for asking the questions. And again, if you've got any questions for me for next month, head over to Discord, find the channel, and pop them in the thread over there. Thanks, and catch you next time. Bye.